I recognize the council has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid-ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
This is normally the part of these where I would say, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Edison Club, but I know why we're all here today. There's no question why we have called this emergency meeting, and this podcast episode is going up Sunday evening or early Monday. So I didn't even get taken out to dinner, and I just got fucked yesterday by Konami. So that's what I'm going to start this with. Usually I like to be wine and dine a little bit, but I just got straight fucked, no lube, no nothing. So so yesterday it was announced that there would be no Ultimate Time Wizard tournament being held at this year's Nationals in Indianapolis. And also after that, upon doing some more digging, it was discovered that Time Wizard tournaments are now going to be using modern game mechanics as well as current print erratas. So basically, if you're a Time Wizard enjoyer of 2012 up to like the most recent Time Wizard format, which I guess is like, I don't know, the most previous ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh, pretty much nothing really changes for you. It's basically the same. But if you play anything from Tengu format and behind, everything is completely different. So I have a lot that I want to say, but I'm going to let someone else speak first. Who wants to go first?
Well, Peacock, I know you have the list of cards affected. So I think before we give our opinion, why don't you go over that list of cards? And this is just a part of the list, right? You don't have every card.
Yeah, no, this isn't nowhere near all of it. This is just something I saw on Twitter that are relative, I guess, somewhat.
Yeah, so can you go over what those cards are, and then people listening can just get a general idea of how they're affected.
Sure. And then, since you play Modern, you can actually kind of help with the first one because Catapult Turtle, which I don't think really has any sort of merit, but the first one is DD Crow. I know DD Crow functions a lot different in Modern because a card has to stay where it's at to resolve. If you go discard Dandelion to special your quick draw and you DD Crow that Dandelion, you don't get tokens in Modern format, right?
That's right. Correct, because in Modern format it is an effect to it is an effect, right, Boyd? In Modern, I don't play quick draw in Modern, so
so technically by this one example, it actually gets better because quick draw would no longer activate. So the discard and the summon, I'm pretty sure, all happen at the same time.
So DD Crow wouldn't work in this case.
DD Crow does work if you activate Regeki Break and discard Dandelion and they chain Crow.
Regeki Break,
right?
Yeah, Wind Blast Regeki Break, because in order for the card to resolve, it has to be in the same location on activation. So it's not. So if you activate Phoenix Wind Blast, right, Dandy wouldn't activate until the end of that chain. In this case, if you chain Crow to the cost of that card, then Dandy would be banished and it would no longer recognize that it's in the grave.
Yep.
So that's a change. But to me, that's not even really a big one. But people do play Regeki Break. People do play Wind Blast. People do play those cards that discard is called. So that can come up, I feel like. I do think that DD Crow has just become more of a staple if it wasn't already in the side deck if you're still playing.
Yep.
Right. And on the list, we have basically just a bunch of cards that will also be just affected by the no turn player ignition priority. So like Dark Armed, JD on the list. We have anything that would have a regular ignition effect. You no longer have ignition priority. So that's, I think everyone kind of on board with knowing what that means. We have DMOC on there for Go players. DMOC doesn't add until the end phase, and it's like once per turn or something crazy, right?
That kills the entire Reasoning Gate deck.
Exactly. You have a Red MD, which is, I believe it's a hard once per turn, and targets now, right, or something.
Yep, it's a hard once per turn.
Then Raikou becomes broken because Raikou doesn't target, and then it doesn't make stuff like miss timing anymore, apparently, or something. Because I know that it's completely different from how Raikou resolves in Edison.
Stardust cannot negate Raikou with the new rulings, because where Raikou is an optional destroy, it's not guaranteed to destroy anything you would choose on resolution. So as in the old ruling, Stardust can negate Raikou. Now Stardust cannot negate Raikou.
That's fair. Let's see. Next, we have Sangan. Sangan, you can't search until like the end phase, I think, right? And then it's only you can't use that card the turn that you search it, I believe.
You search it immediately, but you can't use any card with that searched monster's name for the rest of that turn. So, like, if you search Crow, You can't use Crow that turn. It has to be during the following turn.
And I know Serpent and Treeborn just got destroyed. They're like once per duel or something, and you can only do it. You can't use the turn it goes to the graveyard or something.
Yeah, Serpent, I think, banishes itself during your opponent's turn if it's like in the graveyard or something. I have to pull it up and actually read the text, but it's not nearly
It's
like
unplayable.
It's unplayable. Yeah, basically it's unplayable. It's playable, like as in you can sleeve it up and write it on your deck list, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have Book of Moon. So cards like Book of Moon, Bottomless, and Evac, like Phoenix Wind Blast, Regeki Break, Torrent, are all going to be like absurd because you don't have the chance to use Ignition Priority anymore. Brain Control is almost unplayable because you can only brain control a monster that can be normal summoned. If I'm getting that correctly.
Yeah.
And let's see. Future Fusion's unplayable because you don't even send it until like the second turn, and then you get it like you activate it, and then it has to sit there for a full turn. The next standby phase, you send it, and then the following standby phase, you get the actual fusion.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Necro Valley has 1,000. I don't know what Necro Valley changes are. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's so many different erratas. I don't know what it does.
Necro Valley over time has just gotten more powerful. Like it started off to where like a card could move itself out of grave with its own effects of things like Lone Fire Blossom, things of that sort. But now like nothing in the grave at all can move. Nothing in the grave can pretty much activate.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Then we have a couple trap monsters on here. I don't know how trap monsters differ in Edison versus Modern because they're not really relevant.
I'm pretty sure I think in Edison, they're in the monster zone, but also the spell and trap card zone. But in Modern, the trap card physically moves to the monster card zone. Like it frees up. You could have 5 set back row with a trap monster.
Okay. Yeah, and it still counts as a trap card too, which is it's crazy too because it's not acting as a trap card, but it still counts as a trap card.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure if you book one of those, I think it goes back to the back row set, right?
I don't know. There's one relevant deck that plays those now.
Yeah.
I haven't played against it, like the Odeon deck, and
oh yeah.
I honestly I don't think that's ever going to come up.
Yeah.
But it is something to think about.
Yeah. I remember there were a lot of weird rulings with Eldritch and trap monsters, like how they would interact versus like other cards.
Yeah.
But realistically, for the sake of like this one, like Edison, we don't care. We're not.
Yeah, like if you were playing trap monsters, you probably weren't winning anyway.
And the last one on the main deck cards that we have here on this little list is for Go, which is Ring, where you can't ring for game. You can only do it on your opponent's monster, and you take the damage first, then your opponent. So you can't like use a win con to like where you'd both die, but they die first kind of thing.
Yep.
Big ones that do matter though. I know over here in the extra deck we have Absolute Zero. If he's returned to the extra deck, he doesn't trigger. If he gets like Compulse, Wing Blast, whatever, he actually doesn't trigger. Understanding, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that is crazy too because I honestly think Absolute Zero is probably the best monster in Edison format. Outside of like Dad and JD, and that card just completely got nerfed to the point where like it's not nearly as important as it was. It like the Frog Hero decks become a lot less powerful now. Standard Hero Beat was already losing traction, already losing power, and now that it's hurts it even more. I don't think that deck will ever be played competitively.
Yeah, it really hurts Frogs because now there's no priority with Substitute. Like you bring back your Treeborn, you summon Toad, and you get stopped. Like you can't go through the whole Frog combo anymore. Also, Swap Frog is once per turn on the return to hand. So like in Edison, originally if you had 3 Swap Frogs, you can bounce all 3 for 1 normal. But now you can only bounce a Swap Frog 1 time.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yep, you can only bounce back Swap Frog for an additional normal 1 time.
Yeah, that's going to make the Frog decks a lot more bricky because they're not able to turbo through their deck anymore.
Yeah, I don't even know. Truthfully, I don't even know what decks can be played under this rule set that's not Blackwing. Like what?
Yeah,
I'd say Hero Beat probably.
I think Value's still good too.
There's just so many decks now that lose to Gozen and Rivalry.
I think that Raigo's more powerful, So I think that value really gets a boost from this because it really hasn't lost anything outside of like your level 6 synchros like Yugioh and stuff. But value really doesn't need that to really push for game. But frogs really got taken out of the meta. They're not really tier 1 anymore, I don't think. But Black Wings, I mean, I think pure Black Wings is honestly just going to be the way to go. Play triple rivalry, and your bottomlesses will take care of any card with ignition or that had ignition before.
Yeah, like you think about it, like even Vayu. Sometimes for Vayu, it's very pivotal to be able to go normal Greph or Prio pitch. And if you just go normal Grepher and Black Wings do anything to touch it at all, like now you're stuck with Vayu or Sirocco in your hand and it can't do anything. Like I think Blackwing is like the one deck that doesn't even have like ignition priority in its own engine besides like Dark Armed. Is that like the only card? Dark Armed and Sirocco, yeah.
Icarus is just so much more powerful, and people are arguing that Blizzard gets weaker because Yugioh. Okay, well that's true too, but they also play like an archetype level 6 that is busted engraved with value.
Yeah.
So like, and it has piercing, so like it's not going to hurt the deck as much as people think.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just going to take out they're just going to take out Yugioh and just put in like Gaia Knight or something like that. Just like a big beater if they need to, or just put in a third armed wing. But that deck is pretty much unfazed, and I think it's going to be Blackwing or bust, honestly.
I feel like Lightsworn could still be a very good deck as well. I
don't know, because like it's scary because like normally you could special JD in a back row of 3 or 4 in a field of monsters. Okay, then you got a second JD to finish for game. Now it's like you special one JD gets bottomless, but your second one's probably not going to stay on board either. Like
I have a question about that too. I know in Edison, if you go special JD and then you go, pay 1,000 and you go book, the JD doesn't die. In Modern, does the JD die?
No. It's because it says destroy everything on the field except all. I think it says all other cards on the field, or it's all cards except this card. It always remembers that it's still the same card.
I knew that it was like that in Edison. I wasn't sure for Modern.
Yeah.
Brought it up.
Yeah.
The only thing it loses is like its lingering effects if it had any. So like if you book Plague would lose its lingering effect. It doesn't know it doesn't know that like what archetype, or not archetype, but attribute and typing it is, but it remembers that it's the same card.
Yeah, I will say too, the Honest Wars you can't win Honest Wars anymore because there's no damage calculation anymore. So it's just specifically dropping Honest and Kalut in the damage step.
Yeah, but it's whoever drops it first. So turn player is Prio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like turn player still has Prio, so if you're in an Honest battle and you drop yours first as a turn player, you still win the Honest War.
Yeah. Yeah, you can also get messed with stuff like Shrink during that as well now. Whereas before, like you couldn't shrink in damage calculation. What were you saying, Peacock?
I'm not sure. I was saying the last few cards we had on this list that we've mentioned but hasn't really went over was the rivalry and Gozen, like how different and how they're like actually like floodgates. They're actually broken.
Yeah.
You can't bring back a Treeborn and tribute a Kai's for it. You can't do if you have a random monster on the field, you cannot create a game state where another monster would replace that. You know what I mean? Which is completely different from how Edison is.
Yeah.
And everyone knows about the Goyo and the Brio errata. Goyo, you gotta have an Earth Tuner, and then Brio's only once.
Yeah, exactly. Ty, how do you feel about all this? You haven't really got a chance to speak yet.
Well, as y'all know, I'm very like when it came, as soon as I seen this, like the first things that came to my mind were like Future Fusion and Absolute Zero. Like it's the first things that came to mind. I was just like,
yeah.
Well, I'm angry. My deck's been tampered with. It's been compromised.
Yeah.
It's just it's really not how the Time Wizard format was like first like brought to our attention is just like that what they're doing now, this ain't that. Like
no.
It's not it's not the land we were promised.
It's not a real format. It's literally a made-up format that Konami made up.
It's literally a made-up custom format that that they just came out the blue random.
This reminds me of when ARG made their own ban list. You guys remember that?
Yep.
And
Yeah, I remember that.
they thought,
yeah.
they thought it was a good idea, and it ended up like, my opinion, is what killed ARG.
Yeah. Justin and I have
Yeah.
talked a lot in probably like the last year about how the only Time Wizard format that was really played in like high numbers was Edison. And we wanted to see, other formats get that kind of love, like GOAT format, even Tengu format, Hat format, whatever. And this just was not the way to go about doing it. Like,
Absolutely not.
like I said, like anything 2012 or newer, I don't think there's any major card erratas in 2012 or newer other than like Necro Valley. Because like Brain Control's banned, DMOC is banned, like all the Dust Shoots banned, which I mean it's not a fact anyway, but like all those broken cards don't even exist after like 2012 anyway. So like I wish that what they had done was just start promoting a 2012 or newer Time Wizard format. That way the rulings, because like rulings for like 2012 are basically like side by side with rulings for now, I feel like. And then, the Edison and the GOAT pods can stay the same. Like it's a lot easier for one judge to manage 8 people playing, if the rulings aren't as black and white. But yeah, this just completely ruined everything for everyone else. And like I really hope that they don't expect to still fire like Ultimate Time Wizard, like Edison events at their events, because like that's a joke. Like nobody is going to travel to go and play in that. If they do, it's going to be like 20 people. And my little side rant about this is the fact that people begged them and complained and made videos and whatever about just following the same procedures for number of attendees as the main event. So there's no reason why a 500 player tournament should be top 8. I mean, I feel like everyone's kind of unanimous that was a stupid way of doing that. And then they hemmed and hawed and they wouldn't change it. And now, they've changed it to this. So it just goes to show you, like, if they really cared and they really wanted to make the experience for going to one of these better, they could have changed that policy to reflect that, making it, scale like it should. They just didn't want to. And I think that really speaks volumes for how much Konami actually cares about their player base. And I don't know if they've actually come to realize this yet or not, but they're going to see it the more that this goes on. New players aren't picking up Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't, you could not be a brand new, like a kid, and go buy a structure deck, a blue high structure deck from Walmart, and learn how to play from that rule book. It is impossible. So once they keep pissing off people that have played for, I don't know, 20, 30 years, they're not going to, it's not going to keep growing. Like people that play now are what they're the ones that keep it going.
I will say the caveat to that though, and I'm not defending them, but it is hard as a new player to come in here and say, okay, you're playing Edison, this is priority, and then go to advanced to be like, okay, so everything I just learned gets thrown out the window now, or vice versa. But at the same time, younger kids probably aren't going to come into the game to play Edison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and everything's like a certain like rule set anyway. Like I know the reason why they did this was to make it less confusing, because I know there have been a lot of complaints and a lot of confusion about the way things were ruled between 2010 and now, and I think that's definitely a part of it. But they definitely could have made a database of rulings to be able to go and research these things, and running Time Wizard events with modern rules and erratas. Like I would just go play advanced format at this point. Like, but I mean, I don't plan on going back to any Konami events like that anyway, unless this is changed. Like even if I got like super heavy into hat format, like I still wouldn't even go and support this. I think this is insane.
I have a whole huge rant about that exact thing, more or less, because drop this at like 9 o'clock Eastern time on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
why would this information be dropped on a Saturday night? And it's barely a month away from this event. And like, I was talking to Hershey Bar, a good friend of the channel and other Discords, telling me, he's pissed because, he spent money for his plane ticket. He already bought his hotel. So he's literally being punished for being like a practical adult, thinking ahead, getting your trip, everything lined up months in advance. And then they're like, oh, hey, yeah, by the way, there's not even a Ultimate Time Wizard at all, which was the reason he was going for. And you find that out on a Saturday night at 9 o'clock is just, I don't know what in their mind would think this is the best way to convey this huge amount of information.
It's not just that. It's like typically they make a post on their socials like, "Hey, heads up." Instead, like you had to go digging for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Like it was
I
swept under the
I
rug almost. Like they were like wanting to
I
hide it.
do think I do think, and this is just me. Look, I've been predicting a lot of stuff right this past year. Me and Boyd were literally joking yesterday morning about like I was going to make like a troll post about a ban list that Konami made, and I spoke it into existence indirectly, and I'm sorry, because pretty much Goya is banned. But I think that I think they will have an Ultimate Time Wizard tournament. I don't know if the turnout's going to be what they want, but I do think that they are going to revert back to the way it was. Because typically, when people are mad at Konami, it's over the ban list, it's over like a product mishap. People talk about it for like a couple weeks, and then you don't hear no more about it, right? In this case, even non-Edison players are talking about it. You got Tom Box, you got other people in the community, like Triff, that was like, "Oh yeah, this is messed up," and
I got the
Konami can
whole
see
list
this kind of
here.
stuff.
Just
Yeah,
there's a
and at the
huge,
same time,
huge
like
amount of people.
and at the same time, like the rarity collections, the Edison community or Time Wizard community are the people that bought those.
Yep.
It wasn't you had your standard advanced format, people that bought them for like the 50 card pool in it that was for advanced. But if you're a 200 card pool, it was a lot of your Time Wizard players getting it, trying to get those QCRs, trying to get those platinums. And those sets did really, really well financially. So to me, it's like, you know, stepping on your own toes because now, like, not only have you pissed off an entire community, you're not going to get as much revenue in Time Wizard tournaments. I did the math earlier. It's like, what, 25 per entry?
Yeah.
And they would have like on average 200 people. So right there's $5,000. Not to mention the pods, over 100 pods a day. Like you're losing a lot of
Yeah.
money off this stuff.
You've also
Now,
pissed off the Yugi Boomer community, which I feel like they're much more united than the advanced format community because we're all old now. We have kids, we have houses, we have wives, we have jobs. We just enjoy playing classic Yu-Gi-Oh! And like we're not going to budge on this. Like if I wanted to play a new format, I would have just went and played a new format. Like I'd have been like, oh, I'm going to play September 2012. I'm going to play hat format. I'm going to play toss format. But like now, like you've kind of went and I don't know, they've kind of just went and joked on like original Yu-Gi-Oh! And Justin and I had a conversation about this last week. Like those fucking chibi cards that they put out in the new Battles of Legend, like those are, this is a whole rant, a whole side rant, but like I'll keep it very short. Those are a disgrace. Like Honest did not get put to one to look like that. Like all those cards that Gores like did not go to one to look like that. It's like it's an atrocity. It's absolutely like it's like making a joke of cards that were once like really good in Yu-Gi-Oh, but now they're just like trying to like joke on them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just
it's like why would I fuse with that Neos? The fusion monster would look like it has dwarfism. Like
like I seriously don't know. I think that if I attacked into somebody's light monster and they dropped that Chibi Honest on me, I seriously think I'd be like those Magic players that were cutting out magazine pages and playing in prison, because I guess that's where I'd be, because I'm like, that is not honest. You put that fucking shit back in your goddamn hand and you discard a real copy, or we're going to end the damage step and you send that fucking shit to the graveyard, because you are not, that is not honest.
He only gains half the attack of the opposing
monster. That is not honest. That is bullshittery. That is not honest.
But my thing too is like okay, so let's say that they only keep this for the Ultimate Time Wizard. For a large amount of people, it doesn't affect them a lot because they go to maybe 2 or 3 events a year. Some people, like your Matt Kalendas, your Frasers, people like that, go to every Time Wizard event, right?
Yep.
So it affects those guys. But for us that play on a local level, it doesn't affect us as much until Konami enforces these at local level. So now your Switch tournaments that you have once a month, those will be affected. And then at that point, like, there's really nowhere to play with the old rules except Dueling Book,
Yeah.
And then you're going to get people on Dueling Book that's like, well, I want to play with the new rules. I don't want to play with the new rules. And it's become more of a problem than it has anything else. And I all they had to do was be like, look, guys, the Ultimate Time Wizard is going to be Edison. The giant card is going to be Hat. And I don't know why this has now dawned on me, but that would be a perfect way to get new formats into the fold, right?
Yeah.
Make your Ultimate Time Wizard Edison, so you're going to have a good turnout. But then slowly each YCS, okay, this giant card's going to be Hat, guys. This giant card's going to be Tengu. And then if those start picking up in attendance, Okay, well, let's try the Ultimate Time Wizard next month as redo and see what happens.
Yeah, and you know what they're
So-
probably going to end up doing?
That's totally fine.
The next Ultimate Time Wizard, they're going to be like, oh, we're going to do 2005 Time Wizard GOAT format. And then there's going to be like Jimmy and his friend Bill that show up, you know, to play new errata, new rulings GOAT. It's not going to fire. And they're going to be like, oh, people just don't want to play anymore. I guess we're not going to do these anymore.
And see, it's not even the fact of like the it's about like other formats like that people are upset about this. It's just literally like it's just not this. It's not the same. It's not the same thing like anymore. It's just some bullshit.
It's literally the we have Edison at home. It's literally like the we have Edison at home mom meme.
Yeah,
exactly.
In real life, it's like, Mom, I want to play Edison. Like, no, we don't have Edison money. We're gonna play Edison at home. Like, it's not what anyone asked for at all.
Yeah, like imagine
like,
people
about it last night.
People were saying like, oh well, y'all just need to get over it because every game has ban lists and every game updates. Like imagine your favorite video game from when you were a kid, right? This is the game that you love. You still play it to this day. Imagine, just stay with me here for a second. That the owners of that company, no matter from what, it doesn't matter if it was from the 80s or if it was from three years ago, just decide to go in and just completely change the entire game. Everything that you knew and you loved about that game is completely different. People would fucking burn Nintendo to the ground. Like, you imagine like if they went and like fucked on Melee, like took out a bunch of characters in Melee, changed a bunch of shit, they would burn the company down.
They did that with Brawl, and the company about died.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Almost died.
Like, Edison being the way it was hurting literally no one. It was literally hurting no one. You had people that were able to play the Yu-Gi-Oh! That they wanted to play. You had the advanced players that they got to play what they wanted to play, and everyone in between could play their formats they wanted to play, and everything was fun. Everything was fun.
It's like I was talking to Ty about it last night, and the worst part of it is like if this was the scenario from day one where it was, you know, modern Edison, whatever, that's fine. It's a lot worse to have something and then have it taken away that you never experience it at all.
Exactly.
That's where the main, I think, frustration is coming from.
And while you're there, I'm just going to say, just very quickly, before Ty starts speaking, I love all of my local stores. I've supported you guys for years. I love all of you. If you run Time Wizard events under these new rulings, I will never come back. And I think I speak for everyone. I will never come back. Yeah, I will never come back.
And like it's not even like anything personal. It's just like this just isn't cool at all.
Yeah, and I understand, you know, like the whole Konami OTS thing, whatever. But like, you know, I will literally never come back. I will never spend $1 there ever again, and I don't care where it is, because this is insane.
I have a picture here in the group chat we have where it's like a Tom box says, "Be honest, do you want to play modern rules and errata in your historic Time Wizard formats of Yu-Gi-Oh?" And then the first 30 minutes there was 149 votes, and it was 92% no and only 8% yes. I don't know what that exact number is, but for 30 minutes, it's pretty overwhelmingly 92%. No one wants this.
Nope.
And here's my question, because I noticed this last night as I was like going through like different like Facebook groups and seeing like people like a bunch of different like modern players like Facebook posts and stuff like that. Where does the animosity towards like Edison and it's really more so just Edison players? Where does the animosity from modern players come from towards Edison players? Because I noticed a lot of that.
Okay. I want to speak. I want to speak on this, and this is just because like I play both formats. There is toxicity on both sides. And it's only a handful of people. It's not the community. I love the Edison community, but people have been shit talking modern for so long and for understandable reasons that I think it's just like the advanced players being like, okay, well, you want to shit talk us for 2 or 3 years now. It's our chance to make fun of you, which isn't right. But I do think that's where it comes from. But I have seen a lot of people coming together like in unity more so than I have in the past couple of years. Like, dude, this is fucked up. Like, I don't even play Edison, and this is fucked up.
Exactly. Yeah, I keep making the joke that 6/7 was the 9/11 of Time Wizard, and today is like the day after 9/11, where the whole like United States came together and like the whole Yu-Gi-Oh community is coming together. Like, I don't want this.
Well,
and like even the modern players, like you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just surprised, honestly, it took them this long to fuck it up. Like, at least we got a few good years out of it.
You know, like what we got, like what 3 or 4 years of Edison from Konami.
Yeah.
But what does that say about like company as a whole, that we're like, oh well, was a good 3 years. Like, imagine saying that, like, having a Magic player explain what just happened to us. Like, they get upset if you ban a card in like their commander format, which is like a non-sanctioned
Yeah,
like side thing. They
that
freak out. And imagine
that's
what happened if Wizards did this to the Magic community. Like, they were actually sending death threats to the board that made the like commander ban list when they banned that huge ban list not like 6-8 months ago.
that's why people you know that story, right? That's why people quit. They handed over they were getting death threats. They handed over the reins to Wizards of the Coast because Commander was ran by a different company altogether.
Yeah,
Like
they had a
imagine
whole
if
little committee and they were getting death threats. Yeah,
yes,
it's crazy.
yeah. That's like if Edison were ran by us, right? And then we made a change like a ban list or something stupid like yesterday, what Konami did, and then they make death threats and we handed over the power back to Konami. But that's the first thing I thought of when all this happened was like Magic the Gathering because their commander format is similar to our Time Wizard, right? Like that's their big. I think it's more popular than their standard format, if I'm not wrong.
I don't
Um,
know the numbers, but yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely
it's up
huge.
there. It's huge. And once changes started being made to that, people were like, "Why mess up something that's been working for so long?" Um, I think that sort of thing has died down. I think they've actually reverted on some of that. I'm not really big into Magic, but that's what I do think is going to happen. I think that they're going to realize that they made a mistake and something else too. Like this, just maybe it's just my intuition or whatever, but this seems almost like it was a decision made by like one or two people and not like Konami as a whole. Because you can't tell me that everybody at that table was like, "Yeah, this is a good idea."
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more with that. And even if they do, so let's talk about like best case scenario, they do revert it. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, when I was talking with Hershey Bar, like there's people out actual like hundreds of dollars planning for doing these things.
Yeah. Well,
Even if they do revert back, that's still a huge group of the population that would be like monetarily affected. But the ripple effect and like scar this is gonna leave is huge for like any sort of future of the Time Wizard. I'm saying.
we are so used to them announcing Time Wizard tournaments late that people just know they're going to happen and they book their trip anyways, right? But now it's like, okay, is it going to happen? It doesn't seem likely it is now, and there's rule changes too. So even if it does happen, I still wasted my money because my deck's not going to play great. I'm not playing Blackwing with triple rivalry, so I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sets a new, really bad precedent. Before the
This
precedent was okay. We know every few months there's a YCS, and they'll have different things, and then people would book, months in advance. Is what most people would do.
and you're going to get those people too that still like, let's say they do go to tournaments and they are playing their old copy, their dual terminal Rio, right? You're still going to get those players that just want to be assholes sitting across from them. They're like, well, I got to call a judge over here and look at this. You know what I mean? Or something ridiculous like that. Because people are still going to want to play their max rarity printings that they have, rightfully so. And it's just going to cause even more headache for the judges, in my opinion.
I agree.
I think
like-
that's another part of it too. I didn't mean to cut you off, Justin. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But like that's another part of it as well. And like I heard like multiple different like YouTubers speak on this morning actually, just talking about like how like the form like the different rulings and stuff are just like headaches and nightmares for like the judges and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I mean that's understandable, but
It's called a
fact
job.
that yeah, it's part of your job. Like they're like what's called Konami can act like EdisonFormat.com does not exist. That's fine. They can do that themselves. They can act like EdisonFormat.net doesn't exist. Or that's all fine and dandy. But the fact of the matter is, if you're trying to judge events for Konami, and they like put they put when they was putting this together, they had to like know that okay, our judges are going to need to know these rulings. So the information is out there. You just have to have the gumption to go out there and get it.
Yeah, and it's not just that too. It's like if there's an appeal, there's a head judge, right? Like if you're a head judge, you should have been playing the game for a while, and you should know like, okay, like I can use Brio up to twice per turn or however many times per turn I want to, whatever, right? You should know those little things, and for the most part, people playing the game know those things.
Yeah, if you can break down a tier elements chain link of 14 all the way back to chain link 1 and get it right, then there's no reason why you can't tell me that you can't get Goblin Zombie with priority on Brianak right. It doesn't make sense.
And dude,
Yeah,
I
it doesn't.
I have seen judges literally get on Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia to the ruling section to look up rulings that they don't know. And you're telling me that like you can't get on edisonformat.com but you can get on Wikia that they can be edited at any time. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
doesn't make any
I,
sense to me.
Exactly,
I've seen
exactly.
like
And
go ahead, Peacock.
you go ahead.
Like when we went to Orlando for the Ultimate Time Wizard, I saw judges pull up edisonformat.net. It's like, so it's not that like there's something just they know that the information's out there, but it's just like I don't know. I like at that point it's like, okay, if you know it's out there and you like if you just like walk away from the table that you're helping to look this up, and then that's and you come back with the answer, it's like, okay, well, what's the problem? I don't understand.
I'm very
Exactly.
thankful
That's
for
kind of what I
myself
was going to get into
that
was
that I've never gotten put into a situation to where a judge just like says something that's so blatantly just incorrect. Because I actually don't know that I wouldn't just like completely just come unglued. Like the very first Ultimate Time Wizard, I had a judge tell me Celestia didn't mill for cost. And I looked at that guy and I was like, yes, it does. You don't know what you're talking about. And the guy literally just walked away. And I was like, if you want to come back, like, and we can sit down and have a little discussion about cards that came out 2 decades ago. We sure can. But yeah, like absolutely just unacceptable. Peacock, I'm sorry, you go ahead and say what you were going to say.
good. And I have 2 super quick things. One, so when I was at Nationals, I was next to Swagger, and Swagger was so it wasn't even our match, but it was like me, Swagger, and then a guy like third over from us. He was trying to say that his absolute zero will resolve even if it's like face down.
Yeah.
And we're like, what? No, it doesn't. And I'm like, mine doesn't do that, and I'm playing Diva Hero. I'm like, I wish mine did that. So that was a whole different side rant I wanted to kind of mention because you said about the judge. I didn't actually come unglued, but I was like, what are you talking about? Because mine doesn't do that. Or the guy
Yeah.
asked me where my field center was.
And
I
for
went off
me,
on that
like,
judge. I'm like, I don't have a field center.
anyone that knows me knows I'm very chill. I'm very nice to everyone. But like, I don't have any kind of a tolerance for any kind of just unnecessary bullshit. Like, that's just always been like my kicker. You know what I'm saying? Like, just overcomplicating stuff for no reason. I don't know, that kind of
Especially
thing.
we
That's
already
like the
had a
one thing that
working
gets under my
model.
skin. Exactly.
Yeah. This was all grassroots. Like, this was a community built by the community. Like, this whole thing, Konami saw how successful it was doing on all the things that we were already doing. Like, yeah, we want some of that money. And then they're like, here you go. You guys can have these little breadcrumbs. And then it turned into a full-on, like, we were talking years ago about how great it would be to have, like, an actual, like, retro YCS, how crazy that would be.
Exactly.
And then we actually started getting that and things like that. And everything was perfect and good. Then all of a sudden, greedy corporate greed, they don't like things being good. They always have to change and improve and what's next, and then they end up screwing it.
Yep.
Destroying it, which
I have a
think
couple
is
things to
what
add
happened.
very quickly before I end up forgetting them. I will have the Konami email link pinned in the comment section and in the video description. Email them, tell them you don't like this, that it's not fair, you don't enjoy this. I feel like and don't just email them and just say like, hey, suck my nuts or something. Like, explain why, because there were people in the Time Wizard page that were like, I emailed Konami and said suck my dick, and I'm like, great, you just got blocked. Like, you just made it look like a joke. Like, tell them exactly why you don't like this and why you think it's bad for the community. Also, if you haven't already, I'll also have the link to the really big Yu-Gi-Oh server down below. Keegan from E3 Yu-Gi-Oh is organizing a last-minute RBET in Indianapolis for anyone that has planned on traveling to Nationals but got fucked by Konami for no reason. So go join that and keep up with that. I hope he's able to find a venue and get it hosted so the people that have already paid to travel there can actually go and play for something.
That venue kicks off, I will be there. Instead of I was planning on going, I can basically go to one event a year, and usually it's been Nats. So since Nats isn't happening, I'm going to try to be at that event or maybe the RBT Chicago.
Yeah, that guy.
I'm not
people,
going to any Konami events.
People have their varying opinions on Keegan. Like he said and done some stuff that I wouldn't have done myself. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the guy actually really does care about the Edison community, and I think that matters most. So definitely go and support him. And if you're going to Nationals, just be aware that there hopefully will be an RBET somewhere nearby. So that's all I wanted to say. And like I said, I'll have the information for all of that in the video description below. So
yeah, I make a lot of troll posts and stuff like that for fun, but I really do think this was a horrible decision, and I do support the RBETs, even though I make jokes about it. But I think it's a good thing that those tournaments are still around, and Word on the street is there's another shop that's going to have like a big circuit series hopefully coming up next year. And to be truthful with you guys, these tournaments are a lot more fun than like going to like a YCS. Just because like when you're at a YCS, you're surrounded by like advanced players, Edison players, you have everybody there and stuff. But you sort of feel like you guys are being isolated to a corner. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Whereas you go to these other events and you sort of like everybody there has similar interests. Everybody there feels the same way you do about the format too, and it's just a little bit more sense of community.
Yeah, judges will hate the fact that they don't know how brain control works, but they're perfectly fine with letting people in the last round of Ultimate Time Wizard intentionally draw so they both get in and then kick out somebody that's X1 and they get ninth. That's happened several times. I'm not going to say who, but all I'm saying, if it's the very last round and you magically draw somehow, it probably wasn't legitimate.
Yeah, probably was not.
So, they kind of turned a blind eye to that, but everything else, it's too hard to know what brain control used to do. Got to play with the new text so we don't get brain control wrong.
The fact that they made a new card for brain control, while brain control has been eroded, is just it's kind of infuriating.
The fact that brain control got eroded and put to 3 never did anything, but literally Change of Heart exists. Change of Heart breathes in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And brain control was way too busted. That card could have come back without Narada at the time that it was unbanned. Wouldn't nobody have played it?
Change of Heart isn't even played.
I know.
Nope.
I know.
Really.
You know what they did? They messed up brain control to the point where it's unplayable, but then they thought they did the same thing with Imperial Order. They're like, oh, this card's fair now. Nope.
No.
So I think this has been a really good air out session. I, for one, don't even really feel like I'm speaking from a place of just being jaded. I think I've just been just speaking my truth. This community started out grassroots, playing retro formats, and we got a little bit of backing with Konami, but they kind of want to take that away, but we'll keep it going. And this is a really good opportunity. I think someone mentioned this earlier, for someone to just swoop in and just say, I'm going to start running a circuit series of cash tournaments for retro format Yu-Gi-Oh! And you guys can come out, and then we don't even have to deal with Konami anymore, because that's the whole thing, is like, most people got into this because we got tired of Konami and just basing everything not necessarily for the benefit of the game, but for the benefit of their own bottom line.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. The only good thing I've seen come out of this at all is just the actual overall unity of not just the retro players, but like modern players, or like you were saying earlier, the Yu-Gi-Oh content creators that don't do anything with it. Every single thing that you've seen, if you go on YouTube right now and you're subscribed to any person that does anything Yu-Gi-Oh related, this is somewhere on their channel. There's something, this is being talked about, mentioned, something is happening with it. And I haven't seen anyone who's like, yeah, good, fuck Edison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the YouTube was ablaze this morning when I woke up. It's just literally everyone was talking about this. Because this is major.
I was actually watching a One Piece stream last night with I got a friend who streams One Piece content, and it was his birthday, and I was having a good ass time just chilling, hanging out in chat. Then I see Keegan go live. I'm like, that's weird. Why is he looking for a venue? And then Hershey Bar messaged me. He's like, have you heard what's up? I'm like, no, what's going on? And then he told me, and then that's when all hell broke loose and the gate started open. I was like, well, 6-7 is the 9/11 of Time Wizard.
Hey, though, for real, who wants to buy my giant card? Because I'm pretty sure I'm the only guy registered for the hat tournament.
They finally have a hat tournament, and I can't even go.
Yeah, I also I wouldn't even if I started playing hat format right now, I wouldn't even go to a Konami event just because of this. It's like, do you guys remember when Wendy's put on their Twitter they were going to start doing surge pricing, which is basically your combo costs more during the busy parts of the day, and the internet literally made them change it within 24 hours.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then there were people that's
like cancel culture, but I'm all about it for this. I'm usually not a fan of cancel culture in general, but let's cancel the fuck out of Konami.
And then there were people that were like, I am literally not going back to a Wendy's for a year just because you even considered doing this. And I'm just like, hell yeah. That's the kind of unity that we need. When you don't like something and it's bad for the community, the community needs to reach out to Konami and actually explain why we don't like this. You know, and it's funny to like I said earlier, send the emails of you telling them to like go fuck off and stuff like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like, you know, if they just get bombarded with people actually expressing real concerns, then they would actually turn this back around.
The vomiting horse worked for the ban list. Maybe the vomiting guy will work for Time Wizard. We'll see.
Yeah, and the last thing I'm really going to say on this before I hand it back over to you guys to start wrapping it up is I will not cover anything from any Konami event on this channel at all. No Time Wizard events, no nothing. I'm not even going to speak about Konami after this. I'm just going to act like they basically do not exist anymore. And I will be doing all of the coverage based off of like cash tournaments that are non-sanctioned, RBETs, everything like that. Like I will not cover, like if you win with something cool in hat format, you know, for Ultimate Time Wizard, like that's awesome. But like I'm not putting anything on here that has to do with Konami events until something about this is done.
It's like what I was saying last night. It's just like it feels like how it was when Edison first like started when we first got into Edison. It's just like all we had was like RBTs and like online stuff and like our local shops that like supported it, like that, and that was it. And like pretty much we're just going back to that, just ignoring that Konami even really exists.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said,
I actually just literally thought of just now is this also affects like GOAT. So whenever we do the team 3v3s, the three like formats are like drastically affected by that too now.
Exactly. Yeah, but I don't even think stuff like that will even fire anymore. Like there were a lot of people. How many people do you know that said, "Oh, I hate the way they don't do top 16, but I'm going to go because I love Edison"? This is just too far. Like this is the point where like I don't even know if I would go if it was 10 minutes down the street from me, let alone drive 10 hours or get a flight, hotel room, whatever. Like,
not Edison anymore. It's literally a Konami made format now.
Yeah. Yep. And what's probably going to end up happening is all of this is just for nothing. And they're just going to ignore us like they always do. And they're just going to start promoting hat format or, like 2015 Duelist Alliance format where like this stuff doesn't really matter for those. That's probably what's going to end up happening. That was probably the goal all along.
More than likely, like I hate to say it, but it probably.
Yep. Justin, you've been quiet a while.
I'm dumb intern.
Oh yeah, I was switching over laundry.
Yeah.
Oh, I was switching over laundry.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like I said, I think they were going to revert their decision. I think they're going to go back to the way it was. But I mean, you shouldn't have to have thousands of people to bully you into doing it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, and this is the kind of thing where if the community was united enough, I think that we would actually have a lot more control over stuff than we actually do. And it goes for the advanced format community as well. And I think, I mean, we kind of see some of that unity, and maybe it's just people posting vomiting horse memes on Konami's posts. But like with enough pushback from people that actually, play the game, they have to make a decision eventually.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just people saying like, oh, they're not going to do anything anyway, but it's because we don't try to push back. And I feel like that actually speaks volumes about kind of a lot of stuff that's going on in the world right now, not just Yu-Gi-Oh!
Like if they got like 20,000 emails saying, "Hey, don't make this change," that it would be very ignorant on their part to just ignore that.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, someone's just going to swoop in and just take advantage of this, something like an ARG kind of thing. And there would be no reason to go back to Konami events. There's no reason to go back now, especially if you're going to play Edison. Like I said, it becomes, I think, even more dice roll because now, you can't even summon your Dark Grepher and pitch. Like you're going to get Book of Moon, you're going to get Bottomless, and you're just going to get OTK'd the next turn. It's basically just playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Now.
I feel bad for GOAT players. I think they were hurt worse than Edison players were.
They were. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, oppression having the current ruling where you can chain to it, just like Warriors are just absurd. Like,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Peacock's right. Because in GOAT format, oppression doesn't work the same way that it did in like Edison. Like you can't flip over oppression when they summon BLS. Like it has to be already face up. in goats.
Yeah.
So
And now
now
they can.
you can just flip over oppression, you know, and it's done.
3 oppression, 3 dust shoot, 3 solemn, 3 rivalry, 3 gozen.
Yeah.
That's talking.
Good point, Peacock. I hadn't even thought about stuff like that. And there's stuff hidden in there I'm sure people haven't even realized yet. So yeah, stuff like that will continue to just pop up. Like if people actually do play with events like this, or I'm sorry, with rulings. Jazz from Format Library posted this morning that they're not following suit with this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly, yeah.
good on him for that.
I'm gonna get me a tattoo that says "Where were you" on 6-7.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Please, if you have a picture of Draco Sat crashing into towers, I'm done.
Oh my gosh, dude.
In a skyscraper.
What would be the Edison equivalent? It'd be probably the spaceships that Quest plays and all the I'm Nerd ones. I'll get one of the spaceships crashing into the Twin Towers. Where were you on 6-7?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sage's Secret. They have some really cool sleeves. They're very reminiscent of the old style Magic the Gathering sleeves that are kind of holographic that everyone, I always say they just like spawned in people's bulk. You never could actually find them. So make sure you head on down. It's ruxin34.com. You can find them on there. They will have their own website being launched in the next coming months, but they're really cool sleeves, very high quality. I've used them in a couple deck profiles, so make sure you check them out. Buy some really cool sleeves from them. And oddly enough, this is how I wanted to wrap this up. We do have a listener letter, and this letter comes from Jim Brown, which is odd considering I thought he was dead. But he says, hello to everyone from the Edison Club. I've been a long-time enjoyer of the podcast and all of the content, and I have a question. How different do you think the game would be if cards like Brain Control and Future Fusion didn't exist? Boy, do I have a surprise for you. Because I guess we're about to find out. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm sorry you had to play for the Browns your whole life, and now you can't play Brain Control either. So I'm sorry. But yeah. We don't even have to answer this question. Like we're living it. It's real life right now. Yeah. And then he also mentioned Trap Dust Shoot, but at this point, like it doesn't even matter. Like no one's gonna flip Dust Shoot because no one's playing. So we have about 8 minutes left till we hit an hour. Does anybody have any closing remarks they want to say? Any closing rants before we wrap this thing up?
I was going to say how they should send listener letters about what are everyone else's thoughts on this whole situation.
Yes, please do that.
Even though we're greatly in the majority, it's not 100%. Like I said, even that last poll I saw where it was 92 and 8%. If you're part of the 8%, like we would love to know your reasoning why.
Yeah.
Like not shit on it and be dicks about it. Just want to know like the actual opposition side of why this could possibly construed in any way possible.
Yeah. Please send your listener letters to the Edison Club fanmail at gmail.com and we will read them on the show.
It's now a good time to mention I work for Konami and I've already made my first decision regarding Time Wizard.
Yes, what's your first decision?
Oh, I made it yesterday.
Vomiting horse. Vomiting Gaia.
Vomiting Gaia.
That was actually pretty good. No, I hope it does change because I hate to see. This is not the change in Time Wizard that everybody wanted. Like I said, they could have just done day 2, giant card, a different format, played other formats. But really alienating a part of the community that contributes to sales, contributes to attendance, contributes to bringing new people into the game. I know that Edison has brought new people into the game who's also transitioned to advanced too, so it's a win-win, right? But I really do want to see some change. I hope it goes back. Even if it did go back, I still think people are just going to be salty and they might skip the next tournament. That's just me.
Something I want to bring up too that I meant to bring up earlier is this is open-ended. So I want everyone to remember the fact that this is open-ended. So if for some reason, right, wind-ups become the best deck in Modern and they choose to errata wind-up cards rather than banning them, that affects 2012 format. So keep that in mind as well, that if they unban wind-up carriers in Matey and completely wreck its effect, well, it wrecks it for you playing 2012 as well.
This is like this whole thing is just The more and more I think about it, the more and more scuffed it just seems.
Yeah, I don't know who made this decision, but they must have made it after they fell down like a flight of steps, and they just like waddled into their HR office, sat down at their fucking cubicle, and just started typing shit. They were like, "Why are you gonna do this? Like, what? How are we gonna do this?" And like, well, we can type it, and that's just what they did.
Happened?
Somebody got AZ 3 times and got tired of it.
Here's what happened. His opponent used a brain control on his special summon Plague, took it and made Yugioh. He's like, well, fuck these 2 cards.
Yeah, he's like, fuck these cards. I'm gonna ruin this format and go back to playing advanced.
What if I get rid of your brain control?
Somebody got absolute 0.
This is some like top level shit, like petty Kaiba shit.
Oh my gosh, dude! Yeah, this really is like some Kaiba. Like, I'm gonna change the game because I'm tired of losing to the Pharaoh.
Screw the rules.
There's this one guy in the back, like, works for Konami. He's like, I'm tired of Morphtronics not having a chance because I keep losing to brain control. I'll show them.
No, it's like the Kaiba summons Obelisk, and then the opponent duplocks him, and he's like, "This will fucking never happen."
yeah, exactly. Oh my god, yes, I love it. Yeah. So
the duplock.
Just to wrap up, like I said, guys, in the episode, the email will be in the video description and in the pinned comment section. Email them, tell them you don't like what they're doing, that this is a disappointment to the Time Wizard community. Also join the really big Yu-Gi-Oh server to keep up with that last minute RBET, because if you are planning on going to Indianapolis and you want to play Edison, you won't be doing it at the Konami event. So I think that's about all that we have for this episode, guys. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Mike, Justin, Austin, aka Enraged Peacock, and Ty from the Edison Club, signing out until the next one.
Hamster Ryko Caius. I go check the pairings, I'm like, don't know who this guy is. Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius. 2-0 every round, man, and I ain't even trying. It's just Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius.